What up, Knicks fans? In today's show, we're going to update you with everything surrounding the New York Knicks with the trade deadline just a couple days away. And make sure you guys are subscribed and have your notifications on because we're going to be live for the entire day on Thursday, breaking down everything that's happening around the NBA trade deadline with the Knicks as well as the NBA. We're going to be your one-stop shop for the NBA trade deadline. We also put out videos every single day on the latest Knicks news and rumors, and we go live for game days. So if you love the Knicks and you're looking for daily content, go down right now and hit that big red sub button. Welcome into New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. We have a bunch to talk about on today's show with the trade deadline just a couple days away. We're going to talk about Kevin Durant after the Kyrie Irving trade because it sounds like KD might not be too happy in Brooklyn, and Woj has already put a tweet out surrounding KD. We'll talk about that in a second, but first let's start with the biggest trade rumors of the day, and that surrounds Obi Toppin and the Utah Jazz. The latest reports coming from HoopsHype say the Knicks and Jazz have had talks about a trade involving Obi Toppin. We're going to break that down. But first, I want to ask this question before we get any deeper into the show. A little bit of a evaluation of our own channel here on today's show. How likely are you to recommend this show to a fellow Knicks fan? Scale it from 1 to 10. 1 being you would never recommend this show, the guy with the widow's peak absolutely sucks, or a 10 being you love this show and you've already told all your Knicks fans about it. Scale it from 1 to 10 on how likely you are to recommend this show. Let's get into the trade rumors. This is what HoopsHype via Michael Scotto had to say about the Knicks and the Jazz and those trade rumors. He said, the Knicks and Jazz have had exploratory conversations surrounding Obi Toppin, Evan Fournier, and draft pick compensation for Malik Beasley and Vanderbilt. Utah is seeking the equivalent of a first-round pick to acquire each player. In these particular trade talks, Toppin would potentially be that equivalent for Vanderbilt, with Utah seeking a potential first-round pick for taking on Fournier's salary, $18.8 million next season, and $19 million team option for 2024, and parting with Beasley, who has a $16.5 million team option for next season. Thus far, New York has been reluctant to attach a first-round pick to move off of Fournier's salary. My first thought was trading Obi Toppin would absolutely suck, but I do think it is something the New York Knicks should at least think about. I think Obi has potential. I just don't know if the New York Knicks are the right spot for Obi, because how is he going to get the minutes to develop and become the player that we all think he can be, sitting behind Julius Randle and playing less than 20 minutes per night? With the lack of playing time has kind of been a lack of results for Obi, but I will say I am impressed with how much better he has become as a jump shooter, especially beyond the three-point arc. This year, he's shooting above 37% from downtown on over 3.3 attempts per game. I'm getting the feeling, though, when I watch these Knicks games, every time Obi Toppin shoots a three, he's going to make it, and you really only do that for good shooters. He's definitely got better from there, but the points per game are lower, and the rebounds per game are lower. It just doesn't seem like he's ever going to get to that guy that we thought we were going to have taking him in the lottery because of Julius Randle. And that's not a bad thing on Randle. Randle's playing well. He's having an all-star season. He deserves those minutes. So I think a change of scenery and being able to cash in the chip of Obi Toppin could make some sense. But I do want to say this. Adding a first-round pick to move off of Fournier's salary is pretty desperate. I know Fournier had a big game last night or on Sunday. If you're watching this later in the week against the 76ers, he was asked if that's going to put him back in the rotation, and he said probably not. That's more like a one-night stand. But I do think we learned something from that game. The Knicks could desperately use another shooter that can knock down threes and get hot from that area. It opened up the offense down the stretch, and it gave you a guy that could put more points on the board and not have to rely on the ISO-heavy Jalen Brunson or Julius Randle down in those clutch time situations. Fournier was big, and he was a spark off the bench. If we can get that Fournier every night, I would love to have it, but I have no belief and no proof to believe that he can continue to do that. If he does, I'm down with him coming off the bench. But if you can move Fournier without a first-round pick and maybe get a guy like Malik Beasley, who the New York Knicks are very heavily interested, then I would do it because Beasley is one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA. Rosas The front office executive for the New York Knicks has ties to Malik Beasley dating back to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Herman Rosas is now a part of the Knicks front office, and that's why there's reported interest in Beasley. Also, the fact that he gets up 8.6 three-pointers per night and connects on almost 36%. They could use a guy that can get hot from downtown. But I'm almost a little bit more interested in Jared Vanderbilt in this package because he's a guy that can get points in small sample sizes, 8.3 points per game in 24 minutes. He can come off the bench, kind of be another rim protector for this team. He's a hyper athlete, and he's a good rebounder, 8 rebounds per night. And we've seen so many times this year that the Knicks' Achilles heel in the fourth quarter has been not being able to finish defensive possessions by grabbing those rebounds. And if Vanderbilt's a guy that can help you close some lineups, close some games, he can also step beyond the three-point arc, shoots it at 33%. Not great by any means, but you at least somewhat have to respect him. I also like that he's good on the defensive end, 0.3 blocks per game and a steal per night. Based off of the reporting from Michael Scotto, this would be that trade package. Not sure exactly what first-round pick they're talking about, so I'm just going to include the Detroit Pistons first-round pick that is owned by the New York Knicks, which is top 18 protected. That's the only first-round pick I would include in this trade because it is the Knicks' least most valuable pick. So I want to ask you guys, would you make this trade? You're giving up Obi, Evan Fournier, and the 2023 first-round pick that is owned by the Knicks, but it comes from the Detroit Pistons. It's top 18 protected. You get Malik Beasley, and you get Jared Vanderbilt, 2 guys that I think would get minutes in this rotation. They freaking better get minutes if you're giving them a first-round pick in Obi. Type A for accept, or you can go down and type D for decline. We're going to get to those Kevin Durant trade rumors coming up in a second, but first, I want to tell you about our proud sponsor, Fume. Today's Knicks Now video is sponsored by Fume. We all have bad habits, and we certainly know how hard they could be to kick those bad habits. Our sponsor, Fume, is on a mission to accelerate humanity's breakup from the bad habits that consume far too many of us. Fume is a natural diffusive device that uses plants and behavioral science to help you trade out your negative habit for a positive one. I didn't expect much out of Fume when I got it, but the minty sensation is really powerful, and it really hits the back of your throat. The Journey Pack comes with 3 unique flavors to enjoy: maple pepper, crisp mint, and white cranberry. Fume is not a vape. It's a non-electronic device designed to transform your negative habits. The easiest way to stop a bad habit is to switch to a positive one, and Fume is designed perfectly to do just that. Head to tryfume.com/chatsports and use code chatsports to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's FUM.com/chatsports and use code chatsports to save an additional 10% off your order. That's FUM.com/chatsports. That link and promo code is in the comments and description of today's show. I'm a fan, you're a fan, you can thank me later. Does Kevin Durant want out of Brooklyn following the Kyrie Irving trade that had him go from Brooklyn to Dallas? Well, I do think it's an interesting conversation because the only reason Kevin Durant is a Brooklyn Net is because of Kyrie Irving. And remember, back in the summer, Kevin Durant requested a trade back in the summer, and now that Kyrie Irving is off that basketball team, I believe that Kevin Durant has no desire to be a Brooklyn Net anymore. This is what Adrian Wojnarowski had to say on The Third a couple of days ago. He said, among rival teams, there's far more interest in inquiring on Kevin Durant's reaction to Kyrie Irving's trade request and how that may impact KD's future with the Brooklyn Nets. Excuse me. And this is my thought process. You are trying to get a superstar to Madison Square Garden. The Knicks have to at least make an offer for Kevin Durant, right? Make Joe Tsai and the Brooklyn Nets tell you no when it comes to acquiring Kevin Durant. I believe, and I'm pretty sure, that the Brooklyn Nets would not want to trade KD to New York, just like the Nets did not want to trade Kyrie to the Los Angeles Lakers, according to Chris Haynes. But Leon Rose was brought here to New York, to the Mecca, to Madison Square Garden, to bring a superstar to New York. And since he's been here, superstars have been traded. Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, DeJounte Murray, and now maybe even Kevin Durant. And my thought in saying that is this. You say you want a superstar. You collected all these first-round picks to go get one. I'm not saying KD's that guy, but how many of these players are we going to deem as guys that we don't want to go after? Only so many superstars are going to become available in a trade in a calendar year, and the Knicks have passed on every single one. What the hell are you waiting for? Because there might not be a better offensive player in the NBA right now than Kevin Durant. And if he is available, you better freaking make an offer, make them say no. Would it gut the roster? Absolutely. But is this roster going to compete for an NBA title? Absolutely not. If you added Kevin Durant, you'd be a contender in the Eastern Conference because he gives you 30 points per night, 7 rebounds, almost 6 assists, and he is the most efficient half-court scorer in the NBA, shooting above 55% from the field, 37.6% from downtown, and he's connecting on almost 62% of his field goals from two-point land. I say all this to say, one, I don't think Kevin Durant will get traded to the Knicks, and that's because of the Nets and their stubbornness. But if you give them the best offer, which I believe you can, because the Knicks have the assets to make it happen. No one has more tradable first-round picks in the next 7 years. Here's the Knicks' cupboard of assets. They have 4 first-round picks potentially in 2023, 1 first-round pick in 2024 their own. They own their own and the Milwaukee pick in 2025. You have 11 first-rounders available in the next 7 years, but only 8 of them can be tradable because you can't trade your own first-round picks in back-to-back years. You have 8 tradable first-round picks. Obviously, you wouldn't trade all those for Kevin Durant. Maybe if it was 6 years ago, yes. But I believe the Knicks can make a very, very competitive offer for Kevin Durant. You got 4 firsts in 2023. This is the protections on those picks. You own the Mavericks' top 10 protected pick. With them getting Kyrie Irving, I can almost guarantee that pick will convey and the Knicks will own it. This Pistons top 18 protection, that's going to roll over into next year. That's top 18 protected again next year. And this Wizards pick is kind of a wild card. I don't think it will convey, but there absolutely is a chance that it could happen. I'm just saying, you have everything you need to make a trade for Kevin Durant. Leon Rose, you were brought here to bring a star. Still freaking waiting on it. If you wanted to look at what the players that could be involved in this trade, I believe RJ Barrett would 100% have to be offered in any Kevin Durant trade. It may be difficult with that poison pill contract that he signed, and maybe it's a trade to revisit in the offseason. I believe Emmanuel Quickley would be wanted by the Nets. I believe Quentin Grimes would be wanted by the Nets. I also believe Obi Toppin would, but I'm not trading all of those guys. I'm not exactly sure what my trade offer would be, but I do know this. I would at least offer a trade. You cannot let Kevin Durant, a first ballot Hall of Famer and probably a top 20 player by the time he retires, enter the trade market and you not make an offer for him. So I want to ask you right now, maybe you don't want to make a trade for Kevin Durant, and that's fine. You can go ahead and type FKD in the comment section right now. But if you are interested in Kevin Durant, I want to hear from all the real ones watching right now. What is your trade offer for Kevin Durant? I think you got to make one, and I think it starts with a couple of unprotected picks and a number of protected picks as well as RJ Barrett. Maybe it's Julius Randle. I don't know, but I think you could make a competitive offer. So drop your offers for Kevin Durant in the comment section right now. I'll pick my favorite and put a couple of them on the live show for the trade deadline coming up on Thursday. Look, this is going to be your one-stop shop for all New York Knicks news and rumors throughout the NBA trade deadline and honestly throughout the NBA season. Videos every day. We go live for game days. Another way you can stay up to date if you are subscribed is giving me a follow over on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_. If you want to follow back, DM me. I know ball, so I know you know ball.